Church attendance nationwide is declining among young people. News 4's Jen Shantz has been investigating what draws us to the pews and what keeps us home. She's here now with an important question. Jen?
Well, Jackie, I wanted to know, are we losing our religion? If you take a walk through Elmwood Village, you'll see beautiful Catholic churches on almost every corner. Only many of them are empty or being turned into something else. To find out how and why Catholicism has changed for millennials, I met two of them right here in Buffalo with very different relationships to the church. More than half of people raised Catholic in the U.S. leave the church at some point. Most don't come back, but about 13% are cultural Catholics, non-believers who just can't shake the feeling.
I went to Catholic school and I went to church every Sunday. Every activity that wasn't even church necessarily had God in it.
Nora Hurley considers herself a free thinker or an atheist. She's non-religious, but says her Catholic upbringing is ingrained in her.
Losing your religion isn't just one thing, it's such a series of steps, because when you hold something so close to your identity, it really takes a lot to kind of peel away those layers and start to let go of that.
There has been a decline in attendance, and I think that has to do with, as you know, the decline generally of millennials in participating in religion.
Father Patrick Keeler is the director of the Newman Center at UB. He says while young people are attending church less, those who do are doing it with more fervor, taking it more seriously.
I think that we've boiled religion down to a very concentrated little thing, when in fact it's a very expansive thing. It engages everything.
Allison Borozic was also raised Catholic. The South Buffalo native remembers shortly after her confirmation feeling a disconnect from the church. She too left, although she says she never stopped believing in God.
At the time, instead of seeking it out, I just walked away.
But she didn't stay away. Borozic is part of the handful of Catholics who leave and come back.
There was always like an emptiness. Like everything that I thought was going to bring me happiness, maybe would for a second, but it was very temporary.
So why do more than half of adult Catholics leave?
The quote-unquote rules and regulations didn't fit my life. And instead of trying to understand it as more than that, I just kind of passed it off like, nope, I'm gonna do whatever I want, and I think that this is restrictive, and I kind of went a different way.
For Hurley, it was a gradual realization.
I have fond memories, but I also have a lot of memories that make me angry. A lot of memories of sitting in church and hearing things that I felt like were very wrong.
Hurley is happy and comfortable without religion, but says leaving it behind hasn't been easy on her family, especially her mom.
It only hurts me because I know it hurts my mom, and I hate that she feels like she did something wrong.
Father Keeler says abuse within the church and its views on certain social issues has been a barrier between the younger generation and the religion.
The church hasn't kept up with the times. The church, and it's not the role of culture to keep up with the church. It's a dialogue between the church and the culture.
Welcome to the Station of the Cross Catholic Radio Network.
Borozic now works at a Catholic radio station aimed at connecting with younger people. By 24, she was back in the church. She remembers the day when she says she came home.
I remember going to the parish that I grew up in Cheektowaga, and I was crying. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I cried. It was very hard for me to keep it together because part of me just felt like a sense of relief. Like, this is what I've been looking for, this is where I need to be.
There's another factor here, aside from whether you believe or not. Church used to be part of all of our routines. It was familiar, and it's what we did on a Sunday. The number of churches in the Buffalo Diocese peaked in 1966. There were 305 that year. 50 years later, there's 188.
Stores were closed on Sunday. Bars were closed on Sunday. That's a really important thing. There was nothing to do on Sunday. What a person did in Buffalo on Sunday, if you were a Catholic, is you got up, went to Mass, stopped at a bakery on the way home, picked up a coffee cake, and went home and had breakfast, because you couldn't eat before Mass. So all of that culture has all changed.
In 2014, the American Bible Society ranked the most and least Bible-minded cities. Buffalo came in at 95 out of 100. But as Father Keeler points out, a lot has changed in 50 years. There's fewer family dinners around one table and less conversations uninterrupted by our devices. The problem, he says, is a lack of adaptation by the church. It's a problem, he says, needs to be addressed, and he says it can be. Now, one thing to note here is the Buffalo Diocese, while it has lost about a third of its churches in the last 50 years, it is not shrinking as rapidly as several others around the country, especially in rural areas.
Interesting that you point out the cultural changes here, because you do hear people say, Jen, you hear it quite a lot, the church doesn't speak to me, my life, the way it is now.
Absolutely, and you heard Monsignor Keeler mention that that is what needs to change. And our own George Rickard, of course, you saw him on the desk here just a few weeks ago, now works at the Buffalo Diocese, and he pointed out that they're aware of that and they're working to change that. They actually created a new website aimed at connecting with 30-somethings and 20-somethings, and if you're interested, you can find that on our website, wivb.com.
That's a great connection to have there. Thank you so much, Jen.